thousands of dollars that I
Thousands of
spent on
dollars.
barbecue grills. But the difference is, Jonathan, I came out of that experience not wondering if it was going to be successful. I knew.
Hello, hello. What's going on, professionals? Jonathan Sinelli here. Thanks again for being here. Today we have a real treat. Nate Henderson from BILT Corporation is here, and he is not only flipping the script on assembling everything, also flipping the script on running an organization. Supports creativity with and innovation with empathy, like leads with empathy. And here's the biggest thing. He said, when you know your why, don't ever apologize for it. Before even getting hired by BILT Corporation, a must have is you must read 2 books. And then you sit down and have a bucket meeting, literally sitting on paint cans talking about how those books resonated with you. And then once you're part of your organization, every January you reread the same book and you measure up. How are we doing? You see, Nate flipped the script on it all. Didn't start with making money. The organization thrives, profits occur because all the right things are done along the way. Nate talks about having the courage and bravery. Listen to this: walking into Home Depot, connecting with the store manager because he believed in what he had so much that he said, "Give me a chance," and bought 3 barbecues, created an assembly system for them, handed the iPads out to folks, and here we go. The BILT platform took off. BILT is an amazing experience, and that's what it's about. Is creating a user experience. This one is magical. This one is really exciting. Nate touched, moved, and inspired me so many different times. I'm glad he's in orbit. There is something really unique and really special. It's actually using technology to connect people, foster relationships, and create connectivity. Rather than pushing people away, the BILT platform app has figured out a way to actually have people enjoy the process of buying things and creating connection along the way. Thanks for being here. Hang tight. We're going to pivot right into this one. First of all, thanks for being here. This is exciting. We were just talking sort of before we pushed the record button, a little bit about me, a little bit about you, and how this sort of came into orbit. And today I'm really excited to have you here because when I came across, when you came into my orbit, it was like, BILT, what the heck is this? And as I dug into it, and I saw what it is and what it can do, the construction part of my brain was mind blown. Like, this is amazing. This is amazing. So we're gonna get into that in a moment in time. And you can illuminate the audience what it's all about. But I think for me, the thing that I enjoy doing the most is really learning about who we're talking to, who Nate is as a human being, how your brain functions, and that always leads off with me with really unorthodox style questions. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this because I want to volley one out to you that I it's going to set the stage for this. So are
Okay,
you ready for this one?
let's do it.
How do you describe the color yellow to a blind person?
Warm, um, comfort, memorable, um, life, um, hopeful, spring.
Got that. That's cool, right? And see, I'm excited for that because now right away, leading into BILT, this sort of sets the context and sets the stage. So, tell the audience out there. I know what it is. I've done some research. BILT, what is it? How does it come to be? Super cool, and leading from that space.
Okay. So yeah, to all of your great listeners, as I'm describing this, probably the fastest way is just pull out your smart device, phone or tablet. Just go to your Android or iOS app store and just download it. It's BILT, all caps, BILT, intelligent instructions, and download it, and then you can start playing with it yourself. What BILT is, you need to think of it as a platform that is free to the end user, whether you're a construction professional, electrician, plumber, or if you're using it for DIY purposes, like Christmas is you got a dollhouse you're assembling late at night, or a playset, or even a barbecue grill that you're doing. What BILT is these are 3D guided interactive instructions for any type of product that requires maintenance, setup, installation, repair, assembly. So again, everything ranging from complex projects that come from, say, the United States Air Force, to industrial equipment, all the way to barbecue grills that you would assemble at home. And what you can do in BILT is if it's a brand that we are working with, that brand reaches out to us and they say, we want to create this 3D guided interactive instruction experience, and so we will create that and make it distribute it on a global basis, multi-language capable. And then when you go into it, instead of having a video, this will guide you through each of the steps, but you can interact with it. You can touch parts, you can zoom in, spin them around. If you're not sure what something looks like, you can replay and zoom it around. It's a fully immersive experience that you can have, and the end result essentially is you can do things much faster at a higher quality. But most importantly, it's a life enriching experience because you actually come out better having done it. You've actually learned how to do something and then achieve those other results, whether you're a DIY person or a pro, and this is part of your daily job.
Yeah, thank you. And that really landed with me, especially the barbecue scenario, because I can recall doing that. Buying a new barbecue, and you get so excited emotionally. You're mostly trying, I can't wait to set this thing up. I want to put it together, and it was hell, right? Like following the instructions, it took a long time, and it took two of us. And now this was a long time ago now, since I've assembled the barbecue, I'm thinking about it. But the way you describe it, having that BILT app where, for the folks out there, you can literally like pivot it, and you can see different angles. You can see it. You can touch it. You can. It's amazing. And then, I take that my construction mindset and bring that onto a job site where it's like, okay, electrical background again. Here's a light fixture. Light fixtures, pain in the ass to put together sometimes. What could it look like to have products? It's amazing. So, okay, bring me into, how does this even come to be? Where does it originate from? How does it all start? This is cool today, but it doesn't always, it's not just like you wake up in the morning and here it is. Where does it begin?
Well, the beginning actually is a couple of years before the actual idea came together, and I had read some of the work of Fred Reichheld, who was the guy that started what we know today of the Net Promoter Score system, right? When you review products and you say how likely are you to recommend this product to a friend or colleague. Well, in his research, what he was really trying to identify and gauge was, hey, have you created a life-enriching experience? Because if you can create a life-enriching experience for somebody, they will be your greatest advocates and help grow your business. And when I first read that really spoke to me, and I said, gee, you know what? Someday, if I start my own business, that's the way I want to measure success. Have we actually enriched someone's life in the few minutes that we have with them? So a couple of years later, I was actually at SAP, the great global software, enterprise software company. And I was running some innovation programs, and a friend basically came in with this idea that was essentially, why is it that we can go to a movie theater or on our computers and we see things that are CGI and totally graphics, not real, and yet we still have this frustrating paper experience? Or yeah, you've got YouTube videos, it's a slight improvement there, but they're always out of date. You got 64 different versions of it, which one it is right, et cetera. And so we looked at that and we said, no, we've got mobile phones today. There's got to be a better way. And so we from there started working on those pieces. And then a few years later, just because it's very different from what SAP's business is, we spun it out as a completely independent company in 2016. And since then we're about to hit our 9 millionth user. We're in 172 countries. 12 different languages. We now have just over 10,000 SKUs in BILT today. That's
pretty amazing. So I'm curious, like when you bring this idea forward to vendors, what's the temperature reading? What are you getting? Do you remember?
Oh, it's, I mean, the first time people see it, it's exactly the same experience that you had, Jonathan. They just, it's surreal. They come back and they just said, "Oh my goodness, I had no idea this was even possible. Is this real? That this isn't a mock-up, right? This isn't fake." And I said, "No, no, this is real. In any week of the year, any day of the year, you could have tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of people using exactly what you're seeing right here. So this is very real." So, when we talk to companies, for example, that are in the construction space, where they first go is, I mean, maintenance,
Yeah.
the cost of maintaining things, and do you have the right person on the job site that even knows how to do it? But with BILT, even somebody with basic knowledge could be an expert at a lot of different things. So you're talking about spreading people's knowledge, but just enriching that professional's life, enabling them to do more than what they're able to do today. So it's shock and disbelief, and then fairly quickly it's a lot of excitement.
Yeah. Was there a moment where you knew you were going all in? Like you knew that this is it?
Yeah. So it's actually a really funny story. We as we were contemplating, what this would be like. I'm a tinkerer, a pretty curious person, but an idea is not worth anything unless you can validate it, and it's enriching someone's life enough to where it changes their behavior. And so I said, we should really test this. And so what I did was I went into my local Home Depot, and I showed our basic prototype to a store manager and said, "This is what I'm thinking of doing. Here's this 3D stuff, et cetera. Why would it matter?" And he said, "Hey, it's all about confidence. It's a pro or somebody that comes in and says, 'Hey, I would buy more if I could do more,' so to speak, and consumers as well, right?" And so I said, "Hey, well, why don't we test it out with some barbecue grills? If I buy a whole bunch of barbecue grills, would you let me test them in store, and we watch people assemble and see what they think?" And so we came back a few weeks later, and he had cleared out the front of the store, except for the cash registers, and we just had tables and stacks of Weber barbecue grills, and we had created the instructions in BILT, and we essentially just handed them an iPad and just let them do the assembly, and we did everything from women that had assembled nothing before in their lives, all the way to professional contractors, electricians, all the way to an individual that was 84 years old that didn't even use a smartphone. And the response back to us was so incredible. They were just so thankful. And instead of being that frustrating experience that you mentioned, Jonathan, we come away from it and we're angry, we're mad, we want to throw the thing away. In every case, these people came and they said, "Thank you. I mean, I feel like I learned something. It was a confidence building process. I know that I got it done right. I'm not frustrated, and this shows me that the brand really cares about my time." And we drove away that night from there, and I just said, "This is something that could enrich the lives of literally billions of people."
Oh my God.
So yeah, at that point, we were all in.
You just gave me shivers the way you talk about that. Here's a company that actually cares. But I mean, hang on, back this boat up a second here.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot to unpack, and I'm grateful that you did. But you literally walked into a Home Depot and said, "I have this idea," and like, what's that like? Isn't your brain going chattering, going like, "This is crazy, ridiculous"? What's
Oh,
that like
absolutely.
walking in?
Yeah, here's the thing though. If you're not willing to step off the edge of the diving board, you're never going to know the thrill of victory. And it's just you just I had a great career inside of SAP, which was a great company, but you just I got to know other people that had been really, really successful in doing things that were game changing. And the reality is, it all comes back to the saying. I think it goes back to Benjamin Franklin, that said, "A brave man or a courageous man is not braver than other men. He's brave for 10 minutes longer." And it's you have to take that extra step and you have to go into the unknown. And I'll even add something to that story, Jonathan, is we did this with Weber Grills. Well, we packaged up some video of the experience and sent it to a contact that I had through Weber. And the very next day, I got a call from their chief marketing officer. And this is Weber Grills, right? I mean, we're talking about the largest brand in the world in grilling,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I get a call from the chief marketing officer, and he says, "Hey, is this Nate Henderson? I'm looking at this presentation of this thing done at a Home Depot store." And I say, "Yeah." He said, "Did you have our permission to do this?" It's like, "No." "Did you have Home Depot's permission to do it?" I said, "Well, I talked to the store manager." He said, No, but corporate, they didn't say anything about this to us." "Nope, I didn't have their permission either." And he said, "Well, we're an SAP shop here at Weber. We run SAP. The account executive didn't tell us. Did you have his permission?" And I remember just holding the phone, looking at my wife, and I said, "Today's the day I'm going to get fired. It's happening today. It's happening." I mean, I'm going on 3 no's here. And I said, "No, I didn't have their permission." And there was just a pause, and he just said, "Well, you know what, Nate? I love what you did. Can you come on? Can you fly out here to Chicago? We'd love to talk more
Oh my God.
about it with you." And today, we are the instruction experience for every Weber grill sold in the world.
Holy shit! And that's the risk, right? Like you literally walked into the store and said to this, I'm assuming it's a gentleman. So you said to this
The store
gentleman,
manager.
here's the idea, and then you took it one step. I'm going to buy a variety of barbecues and just give me a platform, give me the time and space to do it. Like
Yeah. So
that's
I
putting the
mean,
line. Like that's saying I'm all in, right? Like you didn't
it was thousands of dollars that I
thousands of
spent on
dollars.
barbecue grills. But the difference is, Jonathan, I came out of that experience not wondering if it was going to be successful. I knew. And that's the difference. Before that day, I had hope. And after that, I knew that it was going to be successful. And so it's very easy to go all in on something when you've got that level of validation.
Okay, there's that moment in time. Was there challenges before that? Like, of course, there's challenges, but let me reframe that question. Before that experience, what was the challenge to launch before that?
Well, being inside of a great big company like SAP, they do certain things really well, and everything outside of that they just don't do. And this is very, very unique and different. So Clayton Christensen's books, 10, 12 years ago talked about the innovator's dilemma, and this is that. I was heading in a direction different than the company I was working for, and how do you do that in a way where you're not disrupting the current business, or you're not causing problems, but bringing people along with your vision. And that wasn't easy to do. There was a great group of people that I worked with, that got on board and really supported it. But it was hard work, very, very, very hard work to do something different.
Of course, but you were causing the matter. You saw something huge and said, "Let's do this," and then you guys co-created this reality of this is what this thing looks like, and then you test drove it. Like that's just beautiful. And I mean, I'm still stuck on the Home Depot, so I just want to just conclude the thought on that. Like you went to one of the biggest vendors that, in my mind, there's like that's got resistance and no's written all over it, right? You didn't just go
Yep.
to a little, home hardware, small little store in the corner of the middle of nowhere. You went to one of the biggest platforms and said, "Want to do this?" And the answer you got was, "Yeah." My gosh.
Well, part of it was not asking corporate, because corporate, and we do a lot of stuff with Home Depot today. I mean, we have thousands of products that you'll find in a Home Depot that use BILT instructions. But you got to know who the right person to ask is, and so there was some art in asking the store manager and not somebody at corporate. So it helps to
And,
fly under the radar sometimes.
yeah, and that's the thing. And you're connecting with human beings, right? And I know you're fostering relationships. Is there anything else to add to that relationship with that person that you want to conclude on?
Well, yeah, it's important to understand why he said yes. Is he's got all these customers, tens of thousands that come in, most of which are pros that come
Sure.
in, and they've got all the assets, the materials, but he's also asking the question, how can I enrich their life better? How can I make them better at what they do so that they're more successful in their jobs? And then their end customers are happier, et cetera. So he was very, very keen and aware of the challenge of, you can sell somebody a product, but if they can't install it, assemble it, maintain it, you're going to have a frustrated person and they'll bring it back and then everybody's lost. The end user is lost, the brand is lost, the retailer is lost. So he looked at BILT and said, this is something that actually enriches all of our lives. And fortunately, he was willing to take a chance and not ask permission, beyond his own. So kudos to him.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And so now knowing today, um, what do people? Can anybody get on the Built platform? Like, what if somebody's
Yes.
out there with a cool product, and how do they do it?
So as I mentioned, BILT you can download for free, and you can access any of the instructions that are in there. You'll see that there are thousands and thousands of consumer durable goods that are in there, and again, these are the official 3D guided instructions from the brand. There are also lots and lots of other products that are under what we call an access key. That
Okay.
the manufacturer has said, I only want a finite group of people to see what's in there. So, for example, the U.S. Air Force is one of our very biggest customers. And so there are a lot of things in there that if you were to download BILT, you'd never know that they're even there unless you have the actual access key to go in there. So, but there are tons of things. I mean, you mentioned ceiling fans. So Hunter Fan Company, for example, we have a whole bunch of their fans, and we'll be adding a lot more here over the next couple of months. Genie garage doors, Chamberlain garage doors. I mean, there's just tons and tons of brands on there. But essentially, when a brand wants to work with us, they will reach out to us, and then we get all their related information about those products, and then we create the instructions. So when we say those instructions are perfect, it's not just that they're 3D; it's that our design teams, having gone through thousands and thousands of products, yeah, the technology is really good, but our knowledge and understanding of what it takes to enrich someone's life, depending on their level of experience, the age, we've now done this for so many, and now that we've had millions and millions of users, we're very fast and very knowledgeable about how to create the right experience so that it's a perfect assembly process. And so they'll send us all that information to here in Dallas, our brand support headquarters. We'll create the instructions, and then we review them with the brand, and then we publish them out there, and then we can make updates to them.
Yeah, I love that, and you keep coming back to that's the experience that Built leaves you with is enriching somebody's life to make them wanting to like makes the experience actually rewarding, actually fun.
Yep.
That's the whole thing. We buy products and we're like, oh, I want to try this thing, and then you go through the traditional assembly process, and it's painful.
It is,
So
and
yeah, that changes everything.
if any of your listeners, if you do download BILT, pause for a second, go look in the comments, that you'll find with any app, and you'll see as you scroll through those, a very common comment in there is, "You saved my marriage." Okay, saved me tons of time. My husband and I did this together. It was a lot of fun. Or you'll hear plumbers, electricians, mechanics, and others that'll say, "Hey, I'm good at certain things, and this is making me very good at a lot of things. And I'm faster, more confident. This helps me do jobs better." You'll see comments in there by the thousands like that.
Well, look what just jumped out at me is you just said something, with regards to marriage, and a husband wife scenario in my world. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, that changes the whole conversation with my wife. Let's put something together. Let's assemble. I'm gonna use the barbecue. Let's assemble this barbecue together. So now we're connecting at a very unique level.
That's right.
And by the way, there's that old narrative of this is how you do it. The instructions do it like this. We're using the built platform that has the competence, and we have the confidence that's going to guide us. And it's fun. It's actually fun.
It
It's
is.
actually fun. Like
It
that's
is.
that's the
You will.
experience. That changes things.
You will find that we occasionally get comments in there of, "Hey, I did this with my 10-year-old son," and of course, these digital natives, these young kids, they see that, and it's an invitation. Oh yeah, I can do this. I can do this, and And that's really what it's about is you want to create an experience that's so life enriching, so enabling that that it actually increases people's capabilities, their confidence, and that reflects on what they think of the brand, et cetera. And so it's a great, wonderful circle that helps everyone. And then we take analytics, confidential analytics that are anonymized. We gather analytics about, hey, is there still friction in the experience? And then we circle that back to the brand so they can continue to make better and better products.
Yeah, that's cool. And thank you for that. So, given all that said, what do you do to consistently support creativity and to sort of yeah, what do you do to constantly support creativity? Because you're up to big things.
Well, first off, we're pretty aggressive about when we hire people to bring them in here. We find people that are curious and creative and also have a lot of empathy. All right. The first step in creating a new solution is you need to empathize that there is a need, right? And understand what that problem and challenge is. So it starts in that hiring piece of it. We do a lot to reinforce our values, both in books that we read. Like for example, we have some books you can't even get hired here unless you've read 2 books before, and we review them together. But we review these principles, whether it's things like an outward mindset, the need to enrich people's lives and measure success that way, innovation, a lot of it is teaching people what the principles are of innovation, as you were asking, Jonathan.
Sure.
But then making sure that there are boundaries, but also a path forward to say, hey, if you have these ideas, we're not going to treat them by accident. We're expecting them, and so here's the path forward that you take to grow and expand these things. And of course, you imagine as we deal with hundreds, we have almost 260 unique brands now that we work with. I mean, the level of creativity that we get to have and how to solve something as large as an industrial generator compared to a dollhouse. I mean, these requires a different level of thought, and you really have to innovate to make that a great experience.
So thank you. So a couple of things jumped out at me. First of all, you talk about empathy. Having to empathize with the problem before you even create the solution. That's huge. But then you pivoted to something that sort of really, I didn't want to interrupt your thought, but now you've given me the time and space to. People, I'm going to reframe it. You said somebody doesn't get hired unless they read 2 books. What are these 2 books? And tell me about that.
Yeah. So at our bedrock, and this goes back to the initial comment that I had when we started. I said in the beginning, if I start a company, I want to measure success very simply by, are we actually enriching someone's life? Because I just believe that the great companies out there and the great teams and the great people, the reason that they're greatly rewarded for what they do is because they enrich a lot of lives around them. People look at them and say, I want to be around that person. That person, they expand things around them. They make others better. And so there was a book originally, the Outward Mindset by the Arbinger Institute, is one of the ones that we require, and that's just, hey, team before self, simple principles.
Right.
And then the other one is a book by Fred Reichheld called Winning on Purpose. That's all about that. It's like, hey, when you do it this way, look at what history shows about the great rewards that come from doing, from measuring success that way. And so I have people read those before they even receive a job offer, because when they come in, before they receive that offer, they sit down and have what we call a bucket meeting, where we literally sit on buckets, empty paint buckets, and we review what they've learned. And the reason I do that is I want people to come that crave working in that type of environment and are ready and willing to contribute to it. And there are some people, Jonathan, that we hand them the books and they just say, what? Are you kidding? No. Hey, that's okay. That's all good. Then this is not the right place for you. But by doing that, it means when people walk in the door the first day as a team member, is that there's a DNA level alignment that we already have that I've found is so powerful.
Yeah, no kidding. You've level set the expectations. Here are the expectations, and folks, here's the boundaries, right? Here's what's going on, and then the way beautiful story. A bucket meeting, literally sitting on a bucket, reviewing. This is before Jonathan. Yeah, I'm not even sure I want you part of the team yet. So let's sit down, and talk to me about what you grasped from these books. Pretty
That's
cool.
right.
Like that's
That's right.
human to human. That's human to human connection.
That's right. And if going through those principles, if they're not exciting to them, then I usually have a pretty direct conversation. Are you sure this is the right place for you? Because oftentimes it means that it's not. Now, the vast majority of people, once they've read through the books, they're usually just climbing to get into my door. And oh man, Nate, I've always wanted to work in a place like this. And I'm quick to tell them, hey, we're not perfect. Least of all, Nate, the CEO. I am not perfect, but we strive to be. We strive to be. And if you're willing to give a very, very sincere effort and be very good at what you do, this is a very, very rewarding thing and a great place to dedicate your time of your professional career. So it's fun.
Okay, crazy question here. So have you ever had somebody who sort of didn't fit the model, the mold, and sort of put your antennas up on your head, like, I don't know if I want to hire this person, and you took a leap of faith and you did, and what was the result?
Oh, yeah, there
That
have
question.
been a handful, people that were maybe more reserved, but we've done this enough that I kind of know what to look for. But yeah, there have been some 50/50s, and I would tell you all those 50/50s actually worked out really well.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, like this is amazing, right? If people, if our listeners out there, audience out there, just gravitates that, like sometimes you gotta go with it, right? Just go with it.
Mhm.
50-50. If I got a 50% on a test, I mean that's like I think of Top Gun, I think of Maverick. It's like if you go to war, you want Maverick with you. I just don't know. You just don't know. You took a leap of faith, but you're so confident with the culture of the organization and the psychological safety that you're going to embody them and that it works.
Well, and before they get to that point, they've had interviews with a lot of others. So we've had the validation of competency and history and background checks and so forth. So we've got a lot more information before we go into there. This is just the final the final thing. But its purpose isn't so much to weed out, because that should have happened before, and in most cases it does.
Got it.
For me, it's more of to align with the person and actually catapult them. That if they are the right one, I want them to hear from me, the CEO, what's important and what is my responsibility to them in enriching their life. Because if they're
So
going to come here,
are you meeting? Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I say, so are you meeting with most hires before they get hired?
Pretty much all of them.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Now,
Wow.
it's fast getting to the point where I'm going to have to delegate that to some of my direct reports, because it simply isn't time to do that. But that's okay. They're great people as well, and you want them. You want more seats at the table. But I think the important thing, at least that I have learned in this process, for your listeners, is this is why it's so important for you, whether you have your own little contracting business or you've got a bigger company. Figure out what your principles are. Figure out your why,
Mm,
and don't apologize for it. Be deliberate.
love that.
Bring people in that agree with that why, and you'll never have to tell them to work hard. But it
That's
takes
huge.
effort.
You never have
You
to tell them to
gotta
work.
you gotta figure out your why, and then ask yourself the question: how do I hire for this alignment? And then how do I reinforce it? So that those books, Fred Reichheld's Winning on Purpose, in January of every year we reread it as a company, and we go
Wow.
back through the things and the principles. Hey, everybody, how are we doing on these things? And so I think there's power in it. It gives a platform for all of us to speak about principles that are. It's not that Nate's right. It's that truth is right. Principles are right. And then we're all measuring our ability to live up to those principles.
But there's the thing, like that's the constant, never-ending improvement. You're saying in January you go back to the book as an organization holistically. Okay, folks, read this, and then let's take a temperature reading. Where are we at? What do we want to
Yep.
add?
Yep. Where did we fall down?
That
Where did we measure up?
that's huge.
Let's create action plans for how we do better this year. Continuous improvement.
That's beautiful. So, okay, so now I got a burning question, right? Especially when we're talking, I'm grabbing my phone here, apps and things on our phone where it becomes really easy to do this, right? Like I'm distracted, I'm not paying attention to you, I'm on and on and on. So, and BILT is so super cool. The question that's buzzing through my mind is, does the technology, does that ability to be, instantly connected to something, does it push people apart? Does it bring them away? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is a great question, and certainly one for all of us is on one hand, this is a far better experience than just video or paper, right? It's living instructions. So, yes, they're 3D, they're guided, they're interactive, but we can actually push out in real time new versions of the instructions. So gone are those days when you have instructions that are out of date. So certainly you have a gravitational piece of it to say, hey, you want to do this. But there's a larger question that we have to ask is, okay, but it's putting people more on their devices. And my response to that is because we're focused on enriching people's life, part of our measurement of success is I want you in it as little as possible. I don't want you to spend 2 hours doing the barbecue grill. I want you to spend 26 minutes so you can spend more time interacting and engaging with other people at a personal level. As opposed to most apps, they just want you in there all day long. No, part of our measure of success is that you're in it as little as possible, if you are. So, but
Oh my
but
gosh,
things
that's
like
amazing.
things like ways that we can encourage people to share an activity together. A father and a son or something like that, are all things that we continue to experiment with so that we can again make it a more life enriching experience.
Yeah, this is huge. I mean, that's what resonated with me is you are bringing people together because what do you do? Look, you can flip the script, but the way I look at it is you're bringing people together because you want them to assemble this thing as fast as humanly possible. You want them in this app as little as possible. And I go back to the husband wife scenario or the parent child scenario you're talking about. That's pretty cool. That's bringing two people together, saying let's do this together. And then once this barbecue is done, we're going to enjoy a nice meal off of it. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We actually, Jonathan, we have a fun tradition here at BILT is on Christmas Eve we allow the employees to just see the reviews that come in. And you can see as soon as you hit about 10 p.m. Christmas Eve, all of a sudden mom and dad start doing their work, right? And it's just so cool to see even up until midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. You see these reviews that people put in there and they say, oh, I was dreading tonight. This was going to be so bad. This was so wonderful. Again, saved my marriage. My wife and I had a great experience. Or I did this with my oldest daughter. Or the next day, hey, she got this present and we were able to do this thing together. This was great bonding time of us, working on something and the great climax at the end where it all works, if it's a go-kart or something like that. And those reviews just come in by the thousands. And for us, that's pretty big time reward.
Thank you. I mean, you've touched me and inspired me through this whole conversation because you're up to some pretty big things. Like it's enriching. I love the words you use. I love the philosophies. I love the ideologies. Like who the heck wouldn't want to work for the organization? Who the heck wouldn't want to be a part of it? Who the heck wouldn't want to use the app? Like, high five on that one. Well done, guys. This is amazing. It really is.
Oh, thank you.
So, my
Thank
pleasure. A couple of last deeper questions, I suppose, is knowing who you are today, what do you think your future self will remember about who you are today and what you're up to?
Well, so our dreams and visions are pretty big. We literally want to touch billions of people with this. We think that we've found something and perfected something and found a way to scale something that will just improve every person's life on the planet. And so We look forward in the next 5 years to having tens of thousands of brands on here, and literally millions of products, everything from industrial pumps, gas turbines, electric motors. I mean, everything that you can possibly imagine. I mean, when it's at some point when SpaceX sends a group of people to Mars, I want them to have a few iPads on there and all the instructions of everything that they need to do to run, their civilization there. It's all going to be built instructions in there, and it's going to be right. And so I want to look back and say, hey, we persisted, we listened. But we stayed focused on what we're really good at, which is just through these 3D guided interactive instructions of just enriching people's life, and that moments that require assembly, setup, maintenance, repair of any type of product.
Thank you. Holy
So,
smokes, you touched me to inspire me again.
but I will add to that, and when I sit down and we have these bucket meetings, when we think about our team members, so what does success look like? Well, if we're successful as a company, there should be great financial rewards for everybody that's here. But I want someday for recruiters and headhunters to be staked out in front of our building, because they see our team members as so valuable, so knowledgeable, so grounded, that they're just willing to do anything to get them to come to work in those companies. And and that's a measure of success when people move on to that next thing, or maybe start their own company. Hopefully they've learned something through here about how to be successful doing that, and that's a pretty great tool. That's part of my job as the CEO, to make sure that happens.
My gosh, thank you for pivoting down this. You leave me in a place where, listen, folks, here's the biggest thing that's jumping on me. It's not about you. It's not about you.
Yep.
It's about everybody else around you. And the moment you realize that, you're not showing up as a jerk, and you're giving it everything you got, and you're doing it for everybody else, that's organically going to make you a better person. Nate, this has been a pleasure. And just my last thought on this was, I want to come back to when you talked about SpaceX and being in space and having. I literally just recently rewatched Apollo 13, right? And
Great movie.
there's a scenario where you talk about, there's a scenario where you talk about in a mission critical situation, with all the technology we can co-create as human beings. Look, how cool is that? These guys, these poor human beings are up in space, mission critical, life or death, to have a tablet in front of them. Go, how do we fix this fast?
Yep.
Right? How do we fix this? There it is, folks. Like, to me, the BILT app is that's it. This is it. There's the vision. You're enriching people's lives. It's something bigger than you and I, and it's never about let's make $1 gazillion. That's organically going to happen once you do all the right things, folks. We know that. So
Yep.
This really flips the script on everything out there. Nate, thank you. That's all I can say is thank you for doing this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good to be with you, Jonathan.
Let's leave our audience out there. How do people get in touch with you?
I mean, we have our website. You're welcome to send an email, info@biltcorp.com, or you can of course connect with me or with us on LinkedIn, Nate Henderson, or a BILT app, or BILTcorp.com. Yeah, we're continually pushing stuff out, and brands that we have. We have a lot of stuff going on in the construction space right now. We're continually announcing new partnerships. Great brands that want to do the same things that you've talked about here, Jonathan. They want to take care of people. They want people to be more successful with their products, et cetera. And so, download BILT, but you can check out our website. There's also a lot of major technology companies that we're about to announce partnerships with, that want to help push this further. So lots of fun things happening.
Thank you, Nate. There's a lot of fun things happening. And for our audience out there, not to worry, we'll have all the social media contact information right in the show notes. You don't have to do anything except click on it. Nate, I appreciate you. This has been a pleasure. I'm excited. I can't wait till next time our paths cross and our orbits intersect, because there's a lot of things happening here, and my brain is already sort of, the hamster's already spinning the wheel going, holy smokes, what's next? What's this? Because this is amazing. So thank you for making time and space to do this.
Oh, you're very welcome, Jonathan, and thank you for the great work that you're doing of reminding all of us of what's most important and the purpose. And if we'll do that right, the rest of it we'll be really successful with. So thank you for all you're doing.
My pleasure. Thank you, Nate. Folks, thanks for hanging out to the end. That was touching, moving, and inspiring. Nate and his team have certainly found a way to truly connect people. And I love the ideologies of let's have people connected to the app as little as possible, which is tremendously different than most app creations out there. We want people connected as little as possible so they can go and enjoy the product they just purchased and then spend time connecting with people. What's exciting, this is why this episode's been brought to you by JC Performance and Executive Coaching, a brain-based organization designed to equip people with the connection, philosophies, ideologies to truly be with one another and create the mindset shifts needed to navigate through life and business. It's an honor to share space with you. Connect with me, www.jonathansanelli.com. Learn everything you can. We are up to big things, folks. Until we connect again, let's do something great.